Yes, good noon, all of you. So today we are meeting for the orientation of the Mains Guidance Program 2026. Uh, I'm happy to say that MGP program has been able to build year on a year, starting with 86 students, of which 74 students got a interview call. And today we have, out of the odd, approximately 2,500 to 3,000 students that are a part of MGP. We say that approximately nearly 600, 700 students, 600 to 700 students are, you want to sit in the class or something? All right, you can sit. Yes, yes. So before we begin with the Mains Guidance Program, I want to tell you a few things. First is that when you're thinking of joining the Mains Guidance Program, you should be aware that who all are joining such a program. And a lot of you, especially those of you who are watching this on YouTube or on the internet, will not be fully aware. But MGP program is one of those programs by Forum IS, which is not quite well there on social media. It's not on YouTube. It's not on Quora. It does not have a social media review as such. But the kind of selections that we have, you can broadly see that out of every 3 candidates who are selected for civil services examination, 2 of them have written an MGP test. So that is what is, and the number of students is not very large. Approximately what I believe is anywhere, depending on the different years, anywhere between approximately you can say that 3,000 is the mid number. This number can fluctuate by 500 or 600 students every year. 3,000 to 4,000 at max are the number of students who write this, and from this we are able to send approximately 2/3 of people candidates in the civil services final list are there. So if you see who is selected from this program, you can take a look at it. One is Aditya. When he joined the program, he was able to get a subordinate service. He was able to get it in his first mains. He was able to get into the list, and this year he has secured rank 1. Then one particular candidate I remember is, which again is not very active on social media, so you will not be very aware, is Miss Ruhani. So she secured rank 5 this year, and she joined MGP for her very first attempt. She was earlier serving in the Indian Economic Service. So some of you may have heard of it, the Indian Economic Service. And she had to take a plunge. She had to decide whether to do civil services or not. And she decided that when she decided to do it, she did not want to take a lot of coaching classes. She was a little reluctant. She wanted to do self-study. And that's when I first met, where her first question was that, sir, is it even possible to clear this exam? And is it a good decision or it is not a good decision, because I have a comfortable job? So first, from Indian Economic Service, she was able to get into IPS, and then she was able to get into IAS, and she secured 5th rank. And she has written every single test. And now you may say, sir, she may have a written test elsewhere. You are saying that she is a student here at Forum IS. She has been writing tests everywhere. What I want to point out to you here is, these students have been what I call enrolled students of Forum IS. When I say enrolled students, which I mean that they have an academy student relationship with us. Academy student relationship with us, where they have taken a program, they have enrolled for it properly, they have paid the due fees that is meant for it. After getting a rank, it was not that they were called for the interview and then they were simply told that you please write test with us free of cost, we will claim you as a student. That has not happened. So if all these students who had, for example, this student had a rank earlier, or this student had a rank earlier and then they moved from revenue service or police service into IS, they paid the due fees for the program. It is not that they were simply told that you write a test and when you will get selected, then we will publish your photo and we'll say that, oh, you have been a student with us. So my purpose of saying this is that you may say that, sir, why it was not given free? The purpose is that as an academy, we feel that there has to be a professional responsibility that you see value when you enroll with us. I mean, we don't want students who are simply doing it just because it is a cheap course, it is popular, or others are doing it. We don't want you to do that. We want you to do that when you are able to see value for the time and money that you invest with Forum. So that is my point of saying this. Then there is another student, a working candidate, Srishti Dabas, who has secured rank 6 this year. A working candidate, fairly GS and SA papers she has written with Forum. Last year, she was working in RBI grade B, from what I can recall. We have another candidate, Anmol Rathod. She secured rank 7 this year. She's from Jammu. Then last year, before this, we had Ishita Kishore, who has secured rank 1 last year from Uttar Pradesh. She comes from the armed forces background and was a diligent student. So her story is unique, as in she did not clear the prelims at first. Then she had two choices: sit back at home and cry about it, or to simply finish whatever is the task. And given that in the year-long test series there are large number of tests left, so she wrote every single test with Forum IS. She finished every single test despite not clearing the prelims. When she did not clear the prelims, she was part of another program of Forum IS, Select Focus Group, SFG. You may have heard this name in a multiple other coachings or YouTube platforms or something, but this SFG is Forum IS. We don't want to be very highlighted on YouTube or Quora or anywhere else. You may not have heard of it, but she was an enrolled student. If you ever have watched a Forum IS video where, you know, all rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have come, and there's a bell ringing ceremony, then if you very clearly try to hear the video where what has been asked. So I have asked this question, that were you doing SFG on time? Then she said, हाँ sir, सुबह 7 बजे I was in front of my laptop with my SFG test open. So if you try to hear, you will get the message there. Then among the selected candidates is Garima Lohia. She has among the good knowledgeable candidate, which I would say she secured 2nd rank in the civil service examination. She is a candidate who did the entire course in the online mode, not compared to Ishita, who used to come to the center. Garima has done the course in complete in the online mode. Then there is another candidate, Smriti. So she has been with Forum. She was told ki foundation kar lo, but she decided ki have to do self-study. So she has been, I mean, because these days young kids, they are very doubtful with respect to with respect to joining a coaching for help. So firstly, should take small baby steps, such as, doing answer writing focus group, then not clearing the prelims examination, then slowly doing SFG, then first clearing the examination but not clearing the mains exam, then next year clearing the mains and the interview. So she has taken a few attempts more than other people, but she has been all throughout a student of Forum IS Academy. She did not take any courses anywhere, that I can tell you, as an did not. That's what I remember, because I told her to take some courses even elsewhere. And for 3 years or so, she has attended every year's MGP, she has attended every year's SFG, and she has attempted every year's prelims test series and simulators. She has been a very diligent student. Then there is 2 more candidates whom I like to talk about is among the selected. So this is not the highest rank. There is 5th Mayur also. There is 5th rank Mayur also, and I think 7th Wasim is there. But apart from the 2 candidates in particular, one is Chandana. So if you should read her testimonial, you can search Chandana Forum IS testimonial. So she has again been a very good student, a bright student, from what I can remember, a BITS Pilani alumni, and not very satisfied when she was able to get. She was a part of MGP, and she in the first attempt that she wrote, she was a part of the reserve list, as in she was the first rank of reserve list. The next year, she improved and got revenue service. And after getting revenue service, we sat down, and she had a fairly good score in SS. She had received less marks. She had scored fairly fine in GS paper 4, but I told her to take up ethics classes, that is taken by yours truly itself in Forum. And the purpose was that I wanted her to run through certain ideas, because I know that while the commission has, divided different subjects into across different papers, but ideas in social sciences, they permeate across all subjects and all papers. So she was told to do ethics classes apart from MGP and answer writing focus group, and she did that. And from this, she was able to improve her rank to rank 50, right? And this, and then is one very old and favorite student of ours, very concerned student of forum, that is Medha. So she has secured rank 13 this year. Or wait, it was, this year I think it is, her rank is 13. Sociology, people would know, because sociology she has gotten 300 plus marks. So she has been an out and out MGP student. She has done the course properly, and because she was already working in the railway traffic services, and she would not get time to sit at one go and write MGP test. So she would write it on her iPad or notepad and then send the answers across. Why we remember this is because these days, because of ever since COVID has come, we all like to write on dark screen. So for in the initial days when she would write her test, she would write on a dark screen in a white color ink. Now when we try to take the printout for evaluation, the printout would not come properly, as in, so therefore she was told to write in white background only. So that's what I remember. Also, she was a very special student for us because before that year she could not clear the prelims, and she was always a bright student. And before that year, from what I have seen, I remember that the students, they had secured somewhere around 220, 327, 328. And the candidates just one rank before her and one rank after her ended up securing rank 27 and rank 28. And her name was not in the list. So it was my personal effort, personal wish, personal ambition that Medha should be able to get a rank. And thankfully, when her name was missing, we spoke to her. And then finally, she was able to get rank 13. Then we have another student, which some of you know, Kunal Rastogi. He has secured 15 rank. He is among the highest score in GS paper 2 this year. And so those of you, so he has begun MGP like you have, that is writing a year-long test series. If you see his records, he has not missed a single test. He has extracted the maximum value from the program. He has met after every paper, he has met a mentor. He has taken guidelines with respect to his improvement. And he has been a very diligent student and scored among the highest marks in GS paper 2. A session also on answer writing was organized, I think, this year by him. So these are the selected students, and we send currently 2/3 of the students who are selected are MGP students. And just a random testimonial I picked up so that you can understand. So these testimonials, I'm not sure if this year we will be having testimonials, because you are aware that guidelines are there, that guidelines have come to place that you don't need a student to be enrolled in your academy for your testimonials. What you need is their permission to publish the testimonial, or the written permission, which means that this year selected candidates will be giving testimonial anywhere. They are not bound to give testimonial to the academy where they have studied. So that will depend on the students this year. A lot of coachings are there. You will see a lot of testimonials, but this is till before that, written testimonials were given by students who studied in a certain academy. And therefore, this student, if you see, Ruhani, rank 5, have been writing forums test series for the last 3 years. Yes, so she was in economic service. And a forums test series program has a high predictive power. And some questions from it have been actually asked in the UPSC mains exam, especially GS paper 3. So that's her views. I'm grateful to Rohini ma'am and Ayush Sinha sir for guiding me for both mains as well as the interview. Personal mentorship and professional evaluation of test copies by forum has helped me to write good answers in mains. Now my purpose of this testimonial is, this is one that I picked up, is that, see, the mains guidance program does several things. One is that it gives you a study plan. कि ऐसे ऐसे पढ़ना है. Second is it gives you a set of questions on which you should be thinking and writing answers. Then it gives you an evaluation of how you have done. And then it gives you certain solutions. All right, so there are several things. And then you have post-discussion classes. Now several things can be there. And then also you have good copies. So while there are model answers or solutions, you may feel that these are model answers, and just because they are model or ideal answers, they are model or ideal answers, therefore I cannot write that. So you also get some good copies, which means that how other human beings of your level who are preparing and aspiring for getting into IS, how they are preparing, how they are writing, you can see that and you can take inspiration. Sometimes you have this problem. The purpose of giving solutions is that at least in the initial test is we'll want to be a little more comprehensive. And as the exam approaches, you will see that the answers will become shorter and shorter and more to the point. The purpose is very simple. When you are beginning, we want you to be knowing, because you will have a lot of knowledge gaps, so you'll get more comprehensive solutions. And as you'll approach the mains examination, you will see that they will be more to the point, because by that time you have already gotten the knowledge. And 2 months before the mains examination, you will see that you will get very crisp answers. So that is what we try to do. Now, my purpose of telling you all this thing is that you should not join MGP because it has high predictive power and questions from MGP are asked in the actual examination. MGP can benefit you in several ways. One, the simplest way is that you have a study plan. Otherwise, you are simply watching one video on another. You are watching one guidance session and another, and you're not, in the end, you will not clear this exam because you have been guided too much. In the end, you will clear this exam because 2 things are there. One is that you studied well, and second is that study was happening in the right direction. And for that, guidance is important. But if you only have guidance, that somebody is guiding you and guiding you and guiding you, and you don't study, then neither this program will work nor anything will work out for you. All right. So you could have any reason why you want to join MGP. One is that you have a study plan. Second is the question paper. So question paper, from what I gather, the questions and solution, or in terms of content, what we believe is that while this was not so great when we started out in 17-18, today we believe that we are doing the best in terms of the content that is being provided. 2-3 things that we don't do is we will not provide a random question. In the name that if I give you a random question which does not have an answer, you will learn how to do creative writing. A lot of teachers will do that they will, instead of thinking of an answer, they will simply throw a random question. Then they will figure out how to write an answer. Then the model answer is also not good because it does not have that question did not arise from that area. वहाँ से question नहीं बनता था. But they simply, because it was a catchy line, so therefore you asked a question from there, and now you don't know how. Your team also doesn't know. The teacher also doesn't know what will be the answer. He's writing something in the answer and saying interpret creatively. So that will happen. So we will not do that because then it throws you off guard. We had this philosophy when we started in the initial days, but we found that mock test paper is supposed to realign you every time the minute you move astray. So this is the path you have to take. This is the path on which you have to write. The purpose of any mock test series or any program is that every time you try to divert from here, it hits you and then realigns you in the direction of the examination. And when we ask some random questions which do not have any answer, because the teacher also doesn't know the answer, the student also doesn't know, everybody is doing creative writing, at least in the initial days. Now remember, mark my words, there is a difference between doing creative writing in the beginning versus doing it in the end. In the end, we have to do we all have to do creative writing for the questions that we don't know, because it is not possible to know everything. But in the beginning, what you have to do is just one thing, and that is, in the beginning, you have to do just one thing, and that is syllabus completion or syllabus coverage. If that you are not doing and you have developed excellent answer writing skills, then no longer you will be able to clear the exam. Remember, after 2018, 2019 and 2020, we are clearly one thing that there are 2 things. One is, you can broadly imagine, and this was originally said here, presentation is queen, but content is king. By this I mean to say is that just by doing answer writing with good presentation and without content, so some of you may have played a game of chess, some of you may have at least be aware of the game of chess. So queen, if you see, in the game of chess, its beauty is that it is very versatile. It can move ahead also, it can move in the side also, it can also do the work, it can also move like a horse also, it can move like a horse also. So it can do everything. So therefore it is a superpower. But you will see that largely that superpower will be mitigated. It will never, nobody wins a chess match on the basis of the queen. Most of the time in a chess match, the person will be sacrificing the queen to save the king. If you have played chess, you will realize that queen ka, despite having all the superpowers. So the queen in chessboard is, like the king in chessboard is a conventional king who's not a warrior. If you see history, until long back you were told that kings were great warriors, they could slay hundreds of men. But if you have watched TV series such as, any series such as Game of Thrones or any other series, you will realize that the king in most of these stories was not the person who was the bravest. He was not the greatest swordsman. He was probably somebody who was, old, not so much energy, but he had brains how to run an empire. He was not a swordsman. He would hire a swordsman to kill other people. So that is how in the chessboard also the king is there. That most of the time, all the other players in the chessboard are to save the king. And if you lose the king, then you lose the match. And often the queen is sacrificed. So remember one thing, that presentation is queen, which means that presentation is what will help you multiply your marks, but then content remains king. In the absence of this, there is no marks. So if at all you do a lot of answer writing without knowing, without having great content, without knowing those ideas which are which is going to hit the examiner when he is evaluating your copy, and you are not aware of those things, you are simply making up and writing, then in the current times, if somebody knows that answer in his writing, then he will get more marks. And I repeat, because of this information explosion, and you may not figure it out in the initial days, but people from large and very diverse backgrounds write this examination. So people have plenty of ideas. So, so one thing is that is extremely crucial is that you should have good content, you should have great content. It's not like just by randomly doing answer writing practice from anywhere, it will work out for you. And again, why you should be doing MGP? So one question was again asked that why should I, there are hundreds of other answer writing programs, why should I do MGP? So my purpose, my answer to that is that, sir, there are so many mentorship programs. So one is that, okay, we are pioneers, but then if somebody is doing better, it does not mean that we can, so we do not have a legacy value only, which means that arey purane time se chal raha hai inka, that is not there. We are not a legacy value. We improve every year, we do better every year. And we are committed to what are the unchangeable factors in the preparation. So people can clear this examination. You will always, no matter what is shown on YouTube or elsewhere, you can clear this exam probably without attending any coaching class. That can be done. You can clear this exam without having studied from any teacher, but you cannot clear this exam without writing answers or taking up a good test series. That is not possible. I don't know any student in the past 12-14 years who has not written test and still cleared this exam. That will not happen. So, and secondly, at Forum IS, what we try to do is we stick to what is called the core values. That is, kya karne se exam niklega? What needs to be done to clear this exam? All of this has no value if we are not able to deliver results. All this has no value if you're not able to find your name. All this is of no value if you are not able to get a single digit rank in the civil services examination. So that compromise we have never made. We know that we can get thousands of students when we can multiply the number of students who take up MGP by doing something a little more noisy, a little more jazzy, a little more promotional, a little more visible on YouTube. That's something that we have not, because those things may help us as an academy, but that will not help you as a student. As a student, what will help you? The less distractions you have, the more successful you will be. Very pinpointed guidance. Just because your paid fee does not mean that we bombard you with so much guidance that your mind is overwhelmed. That is something that we are committed to. And that is the reason I tell you that when you are at Forum IS, we make several compromises. We make several compromises on the commercial success of Forum IS so that we are academically successful. I can tell you that that is at the core of Forum IS, that is at the core of our values. All right, so it is not that the programs are designed to have large number of students. That is also not there. It is for a very, if you are planning for writing the civil services examination, then whether you are from English medium or Hindi medium, this program is good enough to get your top rank. So last year I had a very good student. His name is Arpit. People from Hindi medium must have seen that jingle in Mukherjee Nagar. A young boy selected in IS is sitting on the top of a vehicle, and thousands of students are celebrating around him. So he was a student of MGP, and I'll not lie to you. MGP was not translated in Hindi medium. He used to write the test in Hindi, and his copies would be checked. And when there's nobody, sometimes I have to check those copies. But the content was not translated in Hindi also. And when I asked him that should we do it in Hindi, he said, sir, the ones who have to clear, unko agar you even give him English medium also, but you check their copies, they'll be able to clear it. So he said that I'm the second topper from Hindi medium. When I checked the list, he was the third topper. And when I asked him, then he said that, sir, my marks is the same as the second topper, but because I'm younger than him, the commission has the rule that people who are older, they'll be getting, if two people have the same marks or the score, then the younger candidate will be getting a poorer rank, and the person with more age will be considered superior. So that is now another thing I want to talk about in MGP orientation is that what is the problem that we are trying to solve. So first problem that we are trying to solve is what to study. Padhana kya hai? See, the biggest problem in civil services preparation will be that what to study is not clear. So now this is so important and so crucial for your success is because in the initial days, at the inception of your preparation for frill, if the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months, if you have not studied the right books, then your career is over or you are done. At least that attempt is over, and it may take you, if your attempt is ruined because of external factors, then it may take you 2 years to recover from that. You understand this? As a mentor, I can tell you with full responsibility. So think of it. Let's say you have gone to a restaurant and you are very hungry and you want to have you are aware that this place, there's a very good biryani and you want to have good biryani. Now what happens is, you're very hungry and you want to have a good biryani. Now what happens is, this person, you go to the restaurant and this waiter serves you biryani and the biryani is not good. So what will happen is that a not good biryani, unless it is disastrous, it will not taste so bad in the first bite. You will find something amiss. Then by the 4th or 5th bite, you'll start feeling ki yaar, maza nahi aaya. By the time you have had 25% or 30% of it, or even up to 50% of it, you will be very clear that the biryani is not good. And that day you wanted to have a good biryani. Now the problem is that nothing can compensate for it. Which means that if the person comes, the hotel comes and says, I'll give you money back, it will not compensate for it because you wanted to have a good biryani and now you cannot. Secondly, somebody says, wait, I'll give you the best biryani from the country, made from Taj, I'm going to give it to you. Now the problem is you've half eaten a biryani. You can't even have any more of it. So you're done. At least that dinner is gone for you. So similarly, what happens is, a lot of you, when you'll begin your preparation, I'm highlighting this particularly because what is happening right now is, just 3-4 years back, when you used to meet a student, he had written notes, studied for 3 hours, maybe sitting in a class or at home. But right now, when we are meeting students who have said that we have prepared for 1 or 2 years, they have only studied half of Lakshmikant or 70% of Lakshmikant and 30% of Spectrum. They have not studied anything, and they're saying that I'm preparing for 2 years, and it's a pathetic thing. And we ask them, what have you been doing? And he says, I was following this teacher in YouTube, and the teacher does not complete his course. And the purpose was, I said, why did you join that course? He said, because it was free, or whatever could be the reason. I was able to understand it. Now the student has 3, 4, 5 months if you followed the wrong teacher. 3, 4, 5 months if you've done the wrong course. And let us say, for example, the teacher is catering to a very wide audience, that is civil services, as well as he's catering to banking, state PCS, everything he's trying. His course is designed in a manner such that the level of the course is so low that anyone can join it who's preparing for what is called government examination. Now I have 2 things to clarify here. One is that civil services exam is not, for most parts of it, is not just another government exam. Means it is among the toughest exam in the government. Second is that the job of civil services, the IAS, the IPS, all these people, they are at the apex institution in the government, which means that, for example, if you clear an exam, you end up becoming a Tehsildar. There is no way that a Tehsildar in the Indian system, I'm not saying this is what should be, but this is what happens. In the no way, no matter what a Tehsildar does all his life, he can never become a collector. So the gap between, so the person who's recruited is an apex level. And the kind of questions that are asked by the commission in the examination is also that you will have to have certain intellectual depth. You will have to develop it over a period of time, that understanding. That you will have to have that mental acumen, that is, you're able to sit on the chair so that the brightest of Tehsildars, they cannot rise to your level. That level of that is why you have to study so wide. You have to study public administration, you have to study philosophy, you have to study psychology. I mean, all of these things, if you see across your syllabus, you have to study ancient and medieval history, you have to study culture, modern history, you have to study governance, you have to study constitution, you have to study international relations, you study agriculture, you study disaster management, internal security, whatnot. You study all these subjects. So this is the kind of subject that, you know, in a university, for this there are 7 professors, and now you're supposed to know all of these things, which is why this exam becomes a little more difficult. So you have to be very clear about this thing that, you know, so-called, if you're just preparing for government examination and you're thinking, then don't come for, if you're coming only to prepare for IAS, then come, you will get your money's worth. More than that, you'll get your time's worth. If you spent a year with Forum IAS, I can guarantee you that you will be a much stronger student than if you've been studying elsewhere. That I can assure you. So your time here will be very wisely utilized. But if you're preparing for any government examination, Kicha, I want to become a superintendent of police. And I said, what if you don't become that? He said, I'll settle for a constable if that is what you're looking for. I'm looking for somebody who says, if I don't make it, I'll write the exam again until I reach the level that is needed to get, you know, the IPS or the IAS behind my name. Then probably this program is for you. But if you're thinking, I want to get into any government exam. Having said that, because these days state PCS exams are now more closely aligned with civil services. So every day I meet MGP students. So for example, even CRPF, last year I met a student, he secured first rank, he's an MGP student. So you'll get forest service, rank 1 is they are an MGP student. You'll get students like that. But then that is because MGP does one thing, and that is it helps you write good answers, and it will give you, if you've not been joining a proper classes or anything, you have enough content, you have enough ideas that will help you, that will get inside your head, and you'll be a different person altogether. Right? So this problem is what to study is by giving your study plan, a syllabus is provided. Now one more thing that we have done is, because second is how to write answers. So how you will know how to write answers is, so few things. One is when you have answer writing session, once you have written your first test. And the reason for it is very clear. Why we have an answer writing session once you have done your first test is because we want you at first to write in the manner that you already do. Look, we have no intention to kill your originality or creativity. And which is why you will see that forum will not have an answer writing, see ki aise likho, and then you start writing. That's not the point. You write, and then we will make mild corrections to your answer writing to align with what helps you fetch marks in the examination. We'll not come up with a big description or prescription that this is what you should be, and then everybody writes that. No, that does not work. At least here what we want is, you write first, and then you'll get a feedback. So you'll how to write answers is one with your answer writing session. The second that you'll get a feedback is with respect to your evaluation and comments. No matter what you hear on YouTube, I can tell you freely that if you read carefully, you will get the message from the evaluation itself. If you read carefully what has been said, some students simply don't read what the examiner has told him. If the examiner has told you that you have a writing legibility problem and you are in the habit of not taking it seriously, you perhaps expect the examiner to say that you will not clear mains if you write like this. That is what you're expecting. But the examiner will not take that risk or that pain. He will simply write that work on your handwriting. That itself is a very serious comment that you have gotten, and you will have to solve it. And if you get it more than once, then it's from serious, it moves to severe problem. It moves to a severe problem, and you will have to work towards solving it. All right. And if you see, if you see bright kids, such as one student I particularly remember, his name is Pratyush Pandey. So he secured, I think, rank 21 in his very first attempt. I remember him particularly because he was finishing college. And in the appearing year, he appeared for prelims, he cleared it. For the mains, he cleared it. And he gave a very good testimonial. And when I asked him, did you take any mentorship? He said, no, sir. The evaluation, the evaluation comments were impeccable. But whatever was written, I used to follow it to the hilt. I did not need a mentorship session. So later I came to know that he had cleared JE also in first attempt and CAT also in first attempt. He was a very young kid, and civil services also in his first attempt. Obviously, which means that you are able to better understand what the evaluator has said. Having said that, in Forum IS, you have one more thing, and that is what is called mentorship. Which means that once you have written a test, it may happen that you may not make full sense of what has been asked, what is being said. That's also because Let's say you see a car approaching, still you will drop, you will try to cross the road, because we don't, give that much importance to visual cues. But when the car blows a horn, then we walk off. So that's what. So sometimes what happens is, some students, what they need is, usko likh kar doge, you write him that please, you're not able to, your entire ancient history is unprepared, or modern history has been not prepared from May's perspective. It won't make sense to him. So what happens is, in a mentorship session, when you're sitting across the table, and sometimes there is another student whose copy is better, or even otherwise, when this is communicated personally and orally, then it works. When I'm telling you on, writing, in a writing, when I'm telling you ki is par aapko work karna hai, then probably it may starts to make more sense, because then a human has told you, a visible human has told you. So remember that sometimes, if, for example, if you're unhappy or you're not able to fully understand how evaluation has been done for your copy, you can speak to a mentor. So what happens is, we have a dual check and control with respect to how we are guiding you for answer writing. And the dual control is, one, when your copy is being professionally evaluated, that is one. And the second dual control is that you have a mentor's comment. So you can speak to a mentor and you can get a feedback from him. In this, now another thing that this year we have done is, this year what we have done is, we have also added MGP worksheets. Now the problem is, what I see is that both this year, whenever I'm meeting a young candidate, so this, I think there was Saurav, one student ranked 22 this year. So I asked him that, you cleared this exam just after passing out from college, how did you do it? And he said, sir, because it's very difficult to make that time from outside of college. So he said something that during my time there was a certain lockdown, so I was able to, give some time. But apart from that, one of the reasons what I'm seeing is that college students from second year or third year have started preparing. So if you are in second year or third year, then please, when you subscribe to this, after that, if you have a valid ID card, we will provide certain additional support to you if you're a additional, college student studying only in the digital mode. But if you're in second year, third year, because you'll need more support than what is normally needed, because your exam time is yet to come. So what we have done is that, for example, you get a question. Now the problem is that you don't know what you have to study to answer that question. So I'll give you a question from, let's say, world history. So this is a question from world history. This question says that it was the policy of appeasement that led to the Second World War. What's your name, bacha? The lone Chaitanya. Where are you from? Where are you from, Chaitanya? Chetan. Yes. Where are you from? You're from Rajasthan. Wonderful. So now what happens is, when you come to your MGP test and you meet an alien question like this. Why I've asked you this question is because this is from world history, and most of you would not have studied world history. And those of you who are doing too many years into preparation and only watching YouTube videos and studying 2-3 subjects for 2-3 years, you should be at least alert. So are you aware of this question? Have you studied? Little bit you know. So what do you know about it? Very good. Very good. All right. So you said that Hitler. So this is what happens, because when you are writing your first attempt, you will not be fully aware of the context. So when you meet this MGP question, the problem is that you have studied everything about World War II in world history. You have studied all the major battles that were fought in Second World War. But the question will not come from the sequence of battles. The question will come in an analytical manner. So MGP worksheets is something that when you will be getting your paper, you will getting a worksheet. The expectation is that you read your book, you Google it, whatever you do, but you fill that worksheet in 50, 70 words. So you will breaking this question simply requires breaking into parts and subparts. So for this question, you need to know what was the policy of appeasement. This is something that you need to study. Now, trust me, if you see topper, we do not do topper talks for the simple reason is that we believe that whatever the mentors at forum are saying, you follow one plan, one head, one plan, you clear this exam. What happens is when you have too many topper talks, one topper says I've done this, the other topper says I've done this, and then you lose trust in toppers. So here we do not do topper talks. You will sometimes have a topper video or small video, but we do not as such say that this topper whole journey we do not do that, so that you have just one plan, you are all moving in a single direction. So now here what happens is you have to know what is the policy of appeasement. You also have to know once you have Googled this, probably you will be able to answer this question. But the problem is you will not Google this because you don't know that it is important from the mains perspective, or this is important from the exam point of view. So you studied. So this is the problem which you will have in the beginning. So this time what we have done is we'll give you an MGP worksheet which will simply say that what was the policy of appeasement. And second question will be why were Britain and France pursuing it. So once you know these two answers, you will be able to answer this question. So basically, those of you, because I asked this unfamiliar question, because this is how it will be for you. So in that worksheet, if you're just 50 words, if you're just Googling, reading the book, or referring to your notes and filling it up, then when this question comes to you, you'll be able to attempt it. But that will simply, I'm saying this because earlier how we used to, most people, if you see from 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 batch, if you ask them how are you clearing the mains examination, how you're getting under 50 rank, they had a very simple formula. You take up MGP and AWFG, you read their solutions and practice it, and do answer writing practice, plus twice or thrice you read the solution, you go to the exam, you will clear this. So that was the old method of doing it. And it is even till now, if you want to get into the list, if you just do MGP, year-long MGP properly, and that is what probably this year rank 15 has done. So he did 1 year properly, all MGP tests he has done, every single test, not one also left out. So he's done all these things. So if you do that also, you can clear this exam, you can get it into the list, but provided that it should not be superficially done, it has to be understood in the mind. So for this question, I'll give you a context. So what happened is, the First World War happened. Germany lost the war. So whenever, and you know that history is written by whom? The ones who win the war or lose the war? The ones who win the war. So the people who won, they said that you are responsible for the war. So Germany was supposed to pay war reparations, or what is called compensation. So Germany was told that you cannot have more armed forces than this. This is the amount you will have to deposit with us annually, because now you will have to pay for the war. And because we spent money fighting the war. Now this was seen as, so there was a guilt among the people who had won, such as Britain and France. They felt that we are charging them a little more. Germans, they did not deserve this much also. Now Hitler, what he did was, that Hitler, when he came to power, he is a little on the aggressive side. So what he did was, he used to make demands outside the treaties that were signed. He used to make demands continuously. He used to not follow the treaty guidelines. He used to violate the treaty. And Britain and France felt that, chalo, let him violate a bit. If we stop him, then he will fight again. So they did not used to. So this was how they used to appease Hitler. So they used to meet his what is called unreasonable demands, thinking that if we keep him happy, then Second World War will not happen. And just because all his demands were met, at last Hitler said that I saw them at Munich, they were rats. Let us invade Europe. Let us invade. So this is what happened. Now once you have to answer this question, so basically what I expect is that you are able to, after doing your research and everything, you are able to say that, sir, the policy of appeasement was the policy pursued by Britain and France. Towards whom? Towards fascist Germany, or Italy also, you can say Germany and Italy, and where they used to meet the unreasonable demands and overlook aggression. Why were they doing this? So that they could avoid a Second World War. So once you have done this research, you will come to know that what were the things that the unreasonable demand which they were meeting. Second is, what are the aggressions they overlooked. And because of this, what happened? Hitler got emboldened. He thought, if I fight, first is, I will capture all of Europe. They will not say anything. Then I'll come to them and attack them and take their lands also. That's what Hitler thought. They thought that these are not strong nations. Also because he felt these are democratic nations. They're always worried about their domestic population. That if we, So now what in worksheets, what you will have done is, what we'll do is, we'll break every question into parts and subparts. The important parts. What you are supposed to do, you fill this worksheet, which means that you have made good notes which are relevant for the mains examination. Once you have filled this worksheet, your challenge will become very easy. You will be able to finish off the test once you. So earlier, what I saw a lot of students who did their self-study preparation, what they did is that they used to take the MGP, they used to see what are the areas from which questions are asked. and they used to prepare those areas. And because there are so many tests that are happening in MGP, so many questions that are being asked, that if you really prepare from all these areas, you will be able to fairly get questions from those areas and you will be answering them. This is what happens. But a lot of students are seeking what is called perfection. They want that when I write my answer, the examiner should be so happy that he should be awarding me the Nobel Prize for my answer writing. So they are thinking that I don't have to progress in my MGP, I have to be perfect in my MGP. Now, because of that, the simple one way is you can still replicate worksheets by, taking the question paper, seeing the topics from which questions are asked, preparing those topics, and then you write the test. You will learn that much if you don't know. Again, I'm warning you here that you should not be doing what? You should not be copying from your notes while writing the answer. When you are writing the answer, you should have to write in exam mode. But before that, you can prepare. It is perfectly all right. Now, some students would not understand this, so that is why now we have MGP worksheets. So you'll be preparing approximately a few dozen questions. You will be small micro questions you'll be answering, not in UPSC format, but for the purpose of note making. So now your notes are made. You are aware that what was the policy of appeasement. You are aware why Britain and France were doing it and what were the issues. Then you will be able to probably answer this question. That is my expectation, isn't it? All right. Then the next thing is, why should you join this study plan? All right. So yes, one is that MGP is time tested and proven. What we believe is that we currently 2/3 of the students, what I see is, or at least 60%. What we believe is that at least 50% every year, students that who are in the final list will be from MGP. So it is tested and it is proven. You listen to some students who came to join MGP for the very first time, such as Natasha Goel. She secured 175 rank and it was her 5th attempt. The minute she wrote mains, she was doing MGP very diligently. She was able to get IPS Indian Police Service. So hundreds of students are like that. So for the very first time. Then the second is that you're competing with the right crowd. This is extremely important, bachcha log. I am telling you, you are the average of 5 people you most interact with. Now, what is happening sometimes is, what will happen is that you are a fresher, you are in college, you are from a good college sometimes, and you are not having the right guidance. And what happens is because this is happening right now, earlier this did not used to happen. Because there is so much distraction on the internet, you will end up joining somewhere where there are 250, 200 people or a few thousand people are preparing. Now, what happens is there is a certain compulsion because right now we are in an age of what is called attention economy, which means that the large number of views you have, the more successful you will be on social media. So what will happen is the programs will be made diluted so that even a person who's writing the lowest level government examination, he's also able to do that. Now the problem will be that MGP will take you from a beginner to a high level, which is needed. This level is needed to clear the exam from a beginner to high level. This is what we'll try to do. What I'm saying is that why? Because at this high level is the real competition. You are starting from here, but this is the level that you have to reach. Why? Because there will be hundreds of students who already have a rank and they are competing and you have to beat them. So you'll have to do this. Now what we are seeing, or what one challenge that we are facing is, a lot of students are studying for 2-3 years, and after 3 years where they're at a beginner level. They have not migrated, they have not made an improvement, they have not reached a high level. And that will happen when when you are writing tests with a crowd where people are at least studying for 6, 8, 7 hours. They are studying solutions, they are, so therefore you are competing with the right crowd. If you want to see, you can take a look at forum as testimonials. Then third is high quality content. We believe that currently the level of answers or the content you're getting is good enough to score marks. I have seen hundreds of students in the past 2-3 years. They have just done MGP and sometimes done answer writing focus group and they've cleared the maze, they've gotten good marks. Then there is experienced mentor support, which means that the mentors is not all time. Your mentor is busy mentoring student, which is why he is not on YouTube. So why I say experienced mentor support is a lot of times you will have this problem. Sometimes you will think before joining MGP, ki, sir, I am not, one thing that we will not do is, which is currently again you may be having, is that your mentors are busy meeting real students, whether it is in the online mode or in the offline mode. That is when they are not all the time they are on YouTube. They're not posting continuous live update on YouTube. Be very clear with that. The second idea is that you will suddenly find that, you're getting every minute, every 2-3 hours, or every second day, you're getting some sort of guidance video, which is something that you're not needing. You have to be distraction free so that and you need very pinpointed guidance, bacha. It is not something that something is dumped on you. So you'll have experienced mentor support. The same mentors are available both in the online and offline mode, and they're mentored. They have the experience of mentoring rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, rank 5. Timely evaluation feedback, that is something that we try to do. That it is not that when you come and write an MGP test and you will not get it. Your copies will be evaluated professionally, you will get it on time. It will not be that a promise has been made to you and that will breach that promise. That does not happen. And lastly, we have made a rigorous program, which means that the program will be challenging. But why is it challenging? It is not going to be as per your comfort level. It will be challenging. But the point is that if it is challenging, you are able to rise, you are able to grow, because growth only happens in discomfort. Now, when you're thinking of joining MGP, few things that you have to keep in mind. One is that you have to follow the exam calendar. By which I mean to say is that when you're thinking of following the exam calendar, what I mean to say is, please understand this. If we are sitting in the month of, for example, January is there, and this is June, let us say, and let's say this is September, or August, September, and this is December. So please understand that how you have to divide your time. Between this time, this is the time for core mains preparation. Core mains preparation. And the time for after December until then, this is the time for prelims preparation, no matter what is the program. So here what happens is, when you join MGP for 2026, what we'll try to do is, we'll begin with pre-cum main subjects. Pre-cum main subjects. These subjects are to be studied both for prelims and mains examination. We'll try to wind up these subjects initially, then around this time, around the later part of the year, you'll be doing only mains specific subjects. Subjects that are specific to the mains examination. This is what we'll be doing, and we'll try to wind up everything by December so that your mains preparation is complete. And believe me, if you are able to meet 70% of the targets, you are good enough to go. If you are able to meet 70% of the targets, if you are able to write 70% of the test, you are good enough to go. And the program is designed to follow this calendar. That's the first thing. The second thing is that 70% is good enough. I've said this and I repeat this. See, what happens is, some of you before joining, you will say that, sir, I have not finished my syllabus. Now you are waiting for that perfect day when you will have completed the syllabus. And then now you say that these are my 10 registers and nothing will come from outside of it. My dear friends, that day will not come. That day will not come when you will have a perfect preparation, that now I have, see, a warrior who's busy, putting his swords and everything in place. And then by that time, you will probably finish your syllabus, the battle will be over. This is what is going to happen. What I believe is that sometimes the major problem that students who are not writing tests, what will happen is that the demand of the exam is in this direction, and what they are studying is in this direction. Now, the minute they write a mock test, they are able to align as per the direction of the examination. Otherwise, what happens is 6 months into preparation, they have studied garbage that is good for other exams, not for UPSC, and when they attempt the test, then they realize कि ये सब तो पढ़ना ही नहीं था जो पढ़ा है. They have not, they have not studied what was needed. Secondly, now what will happen is, every test has a target. My suggestion to you is that, see, if you are able to do 70%, that itself is good enough. You should be good enough to write. Remember, perfect is the enemy of good. In trying to be perfect, some students, I see that they want that, that first answer which I write, first copy, the examiner should see and say that, put this copy in the notice board, he is our future rank 1. So what happens in this manner is that he's trying to be perfect, and therefore by the time, because he's trying to be perfect, he's not even able to become good. Alright, he's not able to become good. Why? Because he's not reaching that level, and then by the time he's reaching that level, it's too late, and then the examiner tells him that no, you're not in the right direction. Now the problem is that he has wasted all his time. He's been putting, now by the time, if you see in this screen, there he has reached point here, and he was supposed to be at point A. There is no way he can reach from here to here. But if he has caught here, that you're not in the right direction, he has to simply reach this point. And therefore, this is possible. But once you have given extended, so that is why. And so that is the reason I say that perfect is the enemy of good. Some of you will think that once I'll become perfect with my content, then I'll start writing the answers. I'll write my first MGP test. I'm telling you, a lot of students are there, including several single digit and double digit rank holders, whom I've seen that out of 7 questions, they're writing 3 tests. Out of 10 questions, they're writing 5 or 6 papers. They are not able to finish itself. 1.5 hour ka paper hai, and they are finishing it 2.5 hours. But slowly the same person is getting a good rank. He's getting rank 11, Siddharth Jain first year, rank 13, rank 17. All these people are independent. Everybody begins like this. But you want to be a perfect person that who writes such an answer that the examiner is saying that this is our rank 1. That's not going to happen. Second is, I often say that good is the enemy of perfect. This is not applicable to you. It is applicable for rank improvement students. Sometimes when students get a rank and they believe that I know everything. So what happens is, because they are good enough to get a rank, they are not able to improve. So that is for them. Here what you have to, so those of you who are having a certain rank or already in service and are joining MGP thinking that, planning for 2026, my suggestion to you is that please assume that there are things that you don't know and study it. Secondly, read the solutions. You will have very good ideas. Don't think that you are good and just because of you are good, you know enough to get an interview call or you're good enough to get into the list. Let that not be a bottleneck in getting a very good rank. Then the next is that over the period of the MGP program, you must improve in writing speed and legibility. That is an extremely important criteria. See, in the end, what happens is that the first mains some students. So see, this is the problem. Earlier, this would not happen. Earlier, what would happen is students would have the habit of sitting in a class and write for 3 hours. So when MGP also happens, they are able to write. Now, because a lot of students, sometimes they are not able to sit for 3 hours at a stretch because there is an attention deficit. And that's because you have too many things to get distracted. So what is happening right now, students are not able to, when they are writing their first mains, then they are not, their hands are bleeding and they are not able to finish the paper. And in the interview, what is happening these days is that when you are taking mock interviews, which is happening right now, because from 7th of January, the mock interview started. So some students are speaking very fast. And when they are asked that, please slow down. He responds, sorry sir, I've been watching videos at 1.5x. So therefore my reading speed has, speaking speed has increased. So that happens. You will have to ensure that throughout the preparation journey, you're able to slowly, not on day 1, but eventually you should be able to prove. The next is, I don't know anything about answer writing, should I join or not? Then my dear friends, those of you are having this query that should I join or not, you are the typical and the perfect candidate for this, at least the first cohort of MGP. Why? Because you have a lot of hand holding happening through 2 things. One is the MGP worksheets that is happening. Then the second thing that will be having is you are having a lot of self-assessment tests. So which means that self-assessment tests are not to be evaluated by the examiner. They are to be done for your self-assessment, whether you are learning it or you are on the right track or not. So therefore, all these things will happen, and apart from that, you will have mentor sessions. So when you interact with a mentor, you are able to, after every copy, you are able to discuss a mentor. With a mentor, you are able to get into the mode. And I tell you not that after 3 or 4 good interactions with a mentor, you will be very clear. Means averagely what we see is those students such as, for example, rank 15, rank 16, they may have met their mentors maybe 15, 20 times. But apart from that, what I have seen is that averagely people in top 100, they have taken mentorship anywhere ranging between 3 to 4 times and up to 7 or 8 times. You don't need too much of mentorship also. It's not like you have to do everything. So 7 or 8 times is what I see is a fairly good average number over a period of year, and that is, you'll be realigned along the direction. Next is what I want to tell you is practice makes a woman perfect or a man perfect. So therefore, what will happen is you will think that, sir, I don't know anything. Should I write or not? My answer to you is that if you practice answer writing, then you will become good at answer writing. If you practice studying, then you will become good at studying. If you practice memorizing, then you will become good at memorizing. So this is a very commonsensical thing that I'm saying. You don't need to know anything for it. Make sure that if you are practicing, you will be writing a few hundred answers with MGP, and that will cover the whole syllabus. They will not leave any nook or corner of the syllabus will not be left. So in a way, if you see, it is a proper foundation course in itself for those of you who are doing self-study. So here, if you are doing that much writing practice, even in the absence of MGP, I'm telling you that you will clear the exam. You will make massive program. Okay, MGP will simply what it is, it will give you a good direction. It will give you a person who there is to handhold you, and he will guide you in the right direction. The second is that depending on your preparation, for every test, my expectation is that if you're a complete fresher, then before every test, please spend 30 hours studying. And if you can't do, then at least 18 hours. And for rank improvement people, I recommend 12 hours. But try to study at least anywhere between 18 to 30 hours. एक test है, it will demand, every week suppose you have a test, so 5 hours, if you have not studied, then it will be difficult. You will have to give 5 hours every day or something for 6 days a week. If you can't give it, at least 18 hours is also good enough, that is 3 hours, but less than that will be a problem. So don't join this program if you can't study, even 18 hours a week, then 18 hours a week, then it will be troublesome for you. I mean, you will not be able to, you'll keep missing deadlines. Lastly, what I say is, see, MGP is in line with, so you don't have to study everything for the mains exam. Mains exam approach is very different from the prelims. In mains, our approach is very simple, we study issues. So for example, there is a issue one nation, one election. So we have to study only that, and you will get only one question from there. And that question was asked this year in mains. All right, so you have to identify that in the whole syllabus there are 200, 300 issues that you have to prepare. In polity, there are not more than 70, 80 issues. Primarily, if you see 70, 80 issues, not more than that. If you prepare that, then you'll be able to, and this will be covering those issues through MGP. All right, so you have to do issue-based preparation. Remember, in the prelims exam, you have to read the whole book, end to end. There's no alternative. And in the mains exam, if you read the whole book, then you are done. In the mains exam, you have to identify that there is a chapter on president, then only few questions will come. One question will be that, with president will be that whether he is merely a rubber stamp. And then the question will be with respect to, at the intersection of ordinance making power of president versus the prime minister, and it will be that the misuse of ordinance route. While that chapter is in, that ordinance power is given to the president, that will largely be a parliamentary feature, parliamentary form of government feature, where when the parliament is not in session, then the government is operating via ordinances that is passed by the president, and president acts on the advice of the prime minister and the council of ministers. All right, so what is happening is from every topic, so governor, if there is a mains question, then you would have limited questions from governor. You will have only primarily that need for a governor's office and the issue of politicization or acting in a biased manner. From legislative councils and legislative assembly, you can say that legislative councils, are they needed or not? From Rajya Sabha, you will have simple, what is the utility of Rajya Sabha when there is a Lok Sabha? Or is it merely a second chamber? Is it a second chamber or a secondary chamber? So what is it that Rajya Sabha does? Apart from that, you don't get a third question. So this is what MGP will prepare you for. The next thing is that don't do is, please don't save test for future generations. ये मत करिएगा. बहुत बच्चे ये सोचते हैं कि पहले मैं पूरी पढ़ाई करूंगा, फिर है ना, I'll pass it on to the next year. No, that should not do. See, it is something like an exercise. See, writing test is an exercise. So if you have to run every day for 30 minutes, then what you should do? You should run for the day. It's not like if you have saved the run, then tomorrow you can't run 1 hour. 3 days later, you have to run 1.5 hours. It is not possible to do it. These are exercises, these are mental exercises. So therefore, don't save these exercises. They are supposed to be done in a periodic manner and finished off. It may happen that you will not be able to do it properly. You will have a certain stress, but then slowly you'll get used to it and you'll start running. That is how most people have done. I was taking one-on-one. I mean, just 2 years back, I think I was having a teat with a topper. There was a very bright young girl. Saloni was his name, ranked 70. And she had a very good calendar. She was a part of, like you were having a part of year-long test series. She was from Jamshedpur, and I remember, so she said that, sir, for every test I used to have a, yellow, red, green button. What is my preparation? So some tests I used to have a very green button, some tests I used to have a red button, some tests I used to have a yellow. In Google Sheets I used to make that. And then after I used to get my score, then I used to give another, that is my self-assessment is, it is green, but the marks that I've gotten is red. Similarly, my self-assessment that I am red, not prepared, but the marks I have gotten is very good. So they used to map like this. So don't save tests for future generations. And largely, failure is a distraction. Remember these lines you were first told here. See, when you will take up a journey, which is sometimes as challenging, and journeys are challenging, only those journeys are challenging where they are, people, when there is something worthwhile to achieve. It's not that every journey is going to be challenging. So whenever you're taking up something, you're wanting something that is worth its while. If something is, then first is that it will require time and effort commitments, but more than that, there will be too many other people wanting the same thing. And when this happens, the effort simply needs to multiply. So what will happen is MGP, you will fail regularly, which means that you will want to cover your 100% syllabus, and sometimes you'll only cover 80%, sometimes you'll cover 50%, sometimes cover 30%. But if you are somehow able to, after you get what may happen is you will get slaughtered at a test, which means that 10 questions are there in your attempt 4. Now, you ask me, sir, will I be able to make it? My answer to you is very simple. I really don't know, because that is not the criteria. A person it is not important where you start. Some people will start with 10 on 10 questions and write good answers. Some people will start with 3, on 10 questions, they will write 3 answers. But after 6 months, they will reach 10 and they will beat this person who is doing all 10 on the day 1. So remember this line, it is not where you start, it is where you finish that matters. And everybody's starting point is different. Somebody may have studied from before, somebody may start studying right now, somebody will never study. What may happen? So your starting point may be different. Some of you may have studied, some of you may be doctors, and you've studied all throughout your graduation years. Some of you will be engineers, where you only studied until your engineering entrance and did not study at all ever after. So you will have a different, yes, you had a different, so a person who's studied like 5 years, he knows all the hacks, how to make short notes, how to use mnemonics. A person who's not studied for a very long time, the last time they studied was in 10th class, when they probably got a 90% or 80%. After that, they did not study for 12th, they did not study for college, and now they want to crack India's #1 competitive examination. And they do so. I'm taking mocks, and I have interviewed at least 10 candidates right now. So I asked them, where have you done your graduation? They said, sir, School of Open Learning, or IGNOU, is where they have done your graduation. Some of these candidates, I asked them, why did you do graduation from open school? Now, some candidates said that, sir, at least I would say 1 or 2 people were there who said, sir, my financial condition was not good, which is why I went for doing a graduation from IGNOU. 2 or 3 candidates were there where certain things happened in the family because of which their education was missing. 5, 6 candidates out of the 10 candidates who are in the interview, whom I have just taken mock interviews right now, they are the ones who are saying something like, sir, actually, I was good till 10th class. I studied. I used to stay with my parents. Then after +2 or something, I left home. And then I left studying also. And then what happened is, I either could not get a good college, or I went to a college and I could not pass even the semester exam. So I left after 2 years. And then I joined IGNOU. And I did my BA from there, from IGNOU, or from Nalanda Open University. And so that is how. But that does not mean that they will not make it. They'll get into IAS also. They'll get good rank also. So that is the truth of this examination. So it does not matter. So what happens is, I'm not really concerned about what you have done. Of course, I mean, they have not studied for 5 years. So one disadvantage is when they start, it will take them some time to figure out how to optimize their time, how to study, how to sit for long hours. They will have to do it. Whereas somebody who's been studying all his life, he has one advantage. He has sat for 7, 8, 10 hours in his MBBS days, then for his all throughout his 5 years of graduation as a doctor, he sat those many hours. So he has this habit. Whereas what you have is, you have a willpower, but you don't have the habit. Your willpower is strong that I'll study till 10 hours, but your habit is not sitting for more than 30 minutes for any day. But slowly you will develop this. All right. Now, I also want to say that now, this year, so remember that, before that, I also want to point out that in MGP this year, we have done one more thing. One is that, so we have 3 variants. When you'll here is MGP, then there'll be a plus. A plus simply means that apart from this, you also have essay added. So if you want to see from what I can remember vaguely, generally people take the plus subscription, which has essay. I can remember some students such as Anudeep, who has secured rank 1. He was in this. I think Shruti Sharma, yes. So when they enrolled for the first time, they also took an essay. They were in the plus. Ishta Kishore, they were also in MGP plus. So everybody, so that is what the difference between MGP and MGP plus is, that you also do essay. Now the second thing that we have done is, we have also brought something which is known as MGP Prime. Here what we are additionally giving you is, we are giving around 300 concept class videos. So what are these concept class videos? These are recorded videos, short duration recorded videos, where on every topic, so we know that what will happen is, you will read entire Lakshmikant and then you will come to write the test. And in the test, the first question will be one nation, one election, which is not given in Lakshmikant. So you will have a problem. So what we have done is, now a lot of you will not be knowing that from where the questions will come. which are the areas which need to be prepared. So one is we have given you worksheets. The second, in MGP Prime, we have given 300 videos or so. What will happen here is you will have a video on one nation, one election. You will have the video on, for example, is the president merely a rubber stamp? You will have a video on, for example, the basic structure doctrine. So what will happen is you've read all of Lakshmikant or whatever book you are reading, and then the question from basic structure doctrine comes, you only know one line about it. That basic structure doctrine says this, but you're not having arguments about it. So these videos, they will be on specific issues and they will give you very good quality content. And apart from that, you will be having up to 2 classes. This can be, so CA classes, up to 2 dynamic issues of paper 2 and paper 3 or CA classes. We'll be covering the dynamic issues. What are the dynamic issues? Such as subcategorization of caste, which is the discussion that is going on right now. All these issues across paper 2 and paper 3, they'll be a part of this. You'll be getting it as the classes will happen. And or you can come in the offline mode and take them this as the separately as CA classes. You will have this choice. So this is what we have done. And again, MGP Prime Plus. So Plus simply includes the essay guidance program. That is all. So this is what we have tried to achieve. And I hope that you'll be able to make full use of it. And last, before we leave, remember that we all are here because we all want to have extraordinary success. And frankly, clearing the civil services exam, where people from all walks of life are coming. People have studied medicine are coming, people have studied sociology and philosophy are coming, people who have studied engineering and coming, people who have studied pharmacy and coming. People from all walks are coming, and this ends up becoming the mother of all exams. Because then you have people who have cracked every other exam, and then they are coming here. All right. So my purpose of telling you is that clearing this exam is an extraordinary success. It is not an ordinary exam. It will take your blood, sweat, and tears to clear this exam. It will take that. Mind my words. It will take your blood, sweat, and So Amit, worksheets will not be delivered as a hard copy. Even for offline students, you can take a printout or you can simply note them down and you can answer the questions there itself. All right. Yes, Kiran, you have decided to drop this year and take year-long test series, and that's a very good decision. Please make sure that you finish your tests. Please make sure that you do not be hopping from one video to another. एकदम एक बार में एक चीज कर लो, इतने MGP टेस्ट कर लोगे, ठीक निकल जाओगे बच्चे. That's my honest advice. So clearing this exam is some amount of what is called extraordinary success, or even I would say that outrageous success. Sometimes you can call it massive success. We have some students, I remember, Telangana, Andhra student, Telugu students should know. So we have 2 students, 2 brothers who got in the same exam, IAS and IPS. Jagat Sai is the name of the student. He has secured around 30 rank or something, and his brother is there. He was a foundation student here. Both of these Telugu students, they got through in the same, both brothers, they got through. So what happened is, this person, when he was not able to find initial day's success, he had an account on forum. His ID was massive success. And in the end, he got both home cadre as well as he got a very good rank. So the last thing I want to tell you is that the only thing standing between you and extraordinary success is you. Remember that. If you have to achieve what you have never achieved before, you have to do things that you have never done before. You will have to, for some of you who have been, lazing around for a few years, because that is what lack of parental guidance sometimes does. For most of you who are studying in colleges, not at home, not under the scrutiny of your parents, you may not have studied for a very long time, and this exam will make you study. And MGP program will also make you study. मतलब लोग पढ़ेंगे यहाँ पर. And that number will not be 15,000-20,000 students will not be, they are not suited for MGP. What we think is approximately 3,000 to 4,000 students will be in MGP, but from that itself, what we expect is in the final list, my expectation from all of you is that at least 2/3 of the list has to be from forum students. That is all the expectation. Yes, you will get best copies for each test, and so all those things will be there. And Amit has a question that does anyone have to be academically very good to attempt the examination? You don't have to be academically good to start, but in the end you will become academically bright. Yes, Vacha. No. So few things you have to realize when you are doing some things. He has a very wonderful question that I'm doing SFG right now. but I'm taking a drop for this year and I'm planning for 2026, what I should do. So 2 things you have to remember. Yes. So one is that whenever there is a doubt, give yourself more time. Always remember, time is a great resource. Time is a bigger resource than money. Why is time a bigger resource than money? Time can buy money to some extent, you can say that, but more than that, you can always have, more money. You can earn money. Today you're not working, tomorrow you'll be working, you'll be earning money. But time you cannot earn. Nobody can earn with the widest amount of money you can earn. So remember that what happens is that remember that there's something known as what is called, which a lot of people don't understand, is that preparation, there is something known as best effort basis. Just a छोटा सा example I'll give you. For example, there's a subject like polity. Now, polity, there is a standard book such as, for example, Lakshmikant. And let us say art and culture. Art and culture has multiple books. You can say Nitin Singhani is one of them. You can say Red Book is one of them. You can say, Lucent is one of them. You can also say Fine Arts book is also there. Then there is Tamil Nadu State Board. Now, what happens is that when you're studying a standard book such as this subject, you have to know that you have to do it on an all effort basis. मतलब अपना सब कुछ लगा देना है. All effort basis, which means that if a question is here and you're not doing it, you're gone. All right, that is an all effort basis, which means that 100% of your energy you have to do it. Then what happens is art and culture. Now, some people are not able to do those things. When you study art and culture, there is no one single book, which is the God book. So therefore, when you study this, what will happen is you study the subject 3, 4, 5 times. And then what happens is you don't have to memorize everything because it is not possible to memorize everything. So therefore, these subjects you study in what is called a best effort basis, which means that I have given it enough number of hours. I am not perfect in this, but I'm reasonably good. Whereas when it comes to this book, I have done an all effort basis. मतलब मैंने जी जान लगा दिया अपना. I put all my effort. So therefore, I am good with this subject. There could be hardly few questions or few topics which I have not studied or I'll not be able to answer. In this, I have multiple, chinks in the armor. Several areas are there where I may not be able to answer, but I've studied these 2 books on a best effort basis, which means that 4 or 5 times I've studied. Now I know it. And if a question will come, most probably I'll be able to answer it. So this subject, so this is what is best effort basis. So if your question is that I'm doing something for SFG, should I simply shift to MGP? No. What you will do is you keep doing your SFGs because you will have one additional year benefit that you studied SFG, you have those in place. Now next year when you, before prelims, you just revise them very well, you will be starting doing well in SFG. You are having these doubts because currently you're not able to perform to your expectation in SFG, which is a good enough sign to retreat and say that, no, I need some more preparation. The second thing is, remember, once you prepare for mains, you get better at prelims. Now the result has come in SFG level 2, a lot of people will come, they will join. I'm telling you in this, at least I am aware that there are 150 students from interview who will be joining SFG level 2. 100 students also who are rank holders and will be joining level 2. Now what happens is that in this crowd, now what happens is, and for example, interview students, they have the interview pending but they don't want to miss out, they'll join SFG level 2. Have that approach, which means that they will do SFG and they'll do it on a best effort basis. Then why you are doing it? The purpose is, suppose if anything bad happens, result doesn't come in the name does not come in the final list, then what happens is at least it is not that my prelims is blank. Because result will come. Now you are getting time of 1 month nearly for the result. But earlier result would come like 2 days before the prelims exam. Result will come like 1 week before the prelims exam. You have done nothing for prelims. It means next effort is also gone. So your approach right now will be that you have to keep one leg in SFG with this idea that I'm doing it on a best effort basis, not an all effort basis. मतलब मुझे पता है इतना समय मेरे को लगेगा, मैंने 4 hours पढ़ के SFG मैंने दे दिया. All right, I've done this, I put a good effort, best effort basis pe I was giving, but I did not give a 10-hour time or a 12-hour time, but I gave 4 hours. That is the best effort basis. And then I've started with MGP. And trust me, when you start with this, when you prepare you for your mains, your prelims preparation happens. And all these people, what will happen is, see, a person who's appearing for the mains and interview has a more chance of you for the simple reason is that he's studying all throughout the year. When he's cleared the prelims, then now he's forced to study for the mains. Now he's clearing the mains, he's forced to study for the interview. So therefore he's studying all throughout the year, and when we are not able to clear prelims, then what happens? Or once we are not clearing, then we don't have anything to study. And frankly, I'll tell you, forum has a very outstanding selection, and the simple reason is that whenever there is so for example, this year, 2 months we got a break before the result was coming. We made sure the students, at least 200 students are doing answer writing focus. And what happened is, I'm telling you, you'll get at least 30 ranks from this only. For the simple reason, there is no rocket science. It was not that the paper was brilliant, simply because the student was studying. And he got that guidance कि भाई बैठकर पढ़ाई करो अभी. In Mukherjee Nagar Center, there is only one girl who was writing the test all day. So we get a photograph कि कौन-कौन paper दे रहा है. And next year you'll see that she will be sitting in for the interview. वो बैठी होगी और कहेगी सर मेरा हो गया, मैं Mukherjee Nagar Center से I used to write. And there 100 every year I meet hundreds of such students. ठीक है, तो बहुत क्लियर है वो बेस्ट एफर्ट बेसिस पे क्या है ना. What mistake you will end up doing is पूरा छोड़ देना. जैसे because what will happen is, I'll give you a simple example. Now you will think that I want to read the newspaper daily. Now in 30 days, or let's say 1 week has happened, you have read. Now next week 2 days you have missed. Now what will happen is, you will think that I have missed 2 days. मुझसे newspaper नहीं पढ़ा जाता. Now what will happen? You will leave it altogether because you are not having 100% strike rate. You simply leave it. Now you will be in trouble. It is perfectly all right कि भाई मेरा Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday का छूट गया because I had gone to home. But वापस आने के बाद से I am reading today. Then also your chain will continue. You will not be in trouble. But what happens is, because what you want to be perfect. That sir, I am the guy who has read 30 days on 30 days or 31 days on 31 days. I have read the newspaper. I am not looking for God. I am looking for a human who fails. I am looking for somebody कि भाई वो कहते कि sir 30 days का newspaper में ना 20 days, at least 15, 18 days I have read properly and 5, 6 days I have skimmed through. 5 days मेरा miss हुआ है. I am perfectly satisfied. He will give me a single digit rank. I am worried more about a student who's saying कि sir I am reading all 30 days I have read. Then my question is, for how long? ठीक है, so clear, get the difference between, है ना? Sharad is asking, should we enroll in more test series to write more answers or this is enough? My answer to is, बच्चे यही नहीं हो पाएगा, इसको कर लो. अगर ये finish कर लिया तो और कर लेना अगर लगेगा तो. You do this with all authenticity, you do this with all genuinity, you will clear the exam. Just like you have, you can see the list of students who are clearing from this. They are not giving talks on YouTube. They are privately joining. And none of them have been given free course access. That also my guarantee. I will also take one more guarantee to all of you. That all the students who are saying, they are properly enrolled student. It is not that they were told to write one copy and give it to forum. They have to, सबके records में देखोगे 15-15, 20-20 test लिख कर बच्चों बैठे हुए हैं. And none of them were giving free test series because they are a selected candidate. And just for the practice, no, everybody was enrolled here properly. None of them was given free test series because they were an interview student. So that if he gets ranked, then I will claim he's a student. That is not a practice that we follow at Forum. It is, there is a moral hazard with it. That is why we don't do this. So you can rest assured that once you're coming to Forum IS, we are very sure, we guarantee that whatever the maximum chances of success you have and the best guidance that you have, that you will get from here. And that we are very committed to it. And if we are wrong, we will make corrections. All right, but one thing is there, and what we will not do is, so one thing that I want to show is, if you can get, that, which, this is at the core of our philosophy. So we started our journey of guiding aspirants in 2012 when we founded Forum IS. We are completely bootstrapped, self-funded, and are not owned by a Chinese company. We try to do good work, help people, and create a sustainable business where our students find value in things we do. We take great efforts in building a community for civil services preparation on our free platform, forumis.com. We continue to believe in peer learning, and we put even greater efforts in making the academy a serious, academically oriented, rigorous training organization that gives value to students, not just free stuff. We are sometimes strict with our students. We make them wake up at 7 a.m. so that they develop the discipline to clear this exam. Extremely important. We don't and won't do everything for free. Here is why. This is the UPSC question. That when something is free, does it mean that the correct answer as per UPSC is that the opportunity cost is transferred from the consumers to the tax-paying public? One differentiation that Forum IS will have from a lot of edtech players will be that, and one ethical issue that I feel is that if you're an edtech player, I often see that their free products are much better than their paid products. Forum's products or forum courses, what we try to do is that we will have the academic rigor that is needed to clear this exam, nothing else. You know? We'll always focus on doing things that help people succeed, and we'll bank on your word of mouth support for our growth. We are an academic institute first, a technology company second, a knowledge and social media company third, and we'll never be an advertising company. So that's with this, I'll end this. All right. MGP worksheets will be available with all MGP programs. Yes, for 2026, they will be available. For 2026, for all tests except the last 8 tests. You don't need, by that time, you should not need MGP worksheets. So 8 tests will be conducted after prelims and between mains, for which you don't need a worksheet, because by that time you should have made your notes, you should have finished everything. And that is MGP beneficial? Yes. So now MGP is being done for Hindi medium, and we are getting, so Hindi माध्यम में भी उपलब्ध है, और अब मुझे लगता है कि काफ़ी सारे हिंदी माध्यम बच्चों का भी इंटरव्यू कॉल भी आया है, अभी हमारा मॉक इंटरव्यूज चल रहे हैं, ठीक है. So that is all. Thank you all, and God bless you all. Thank you, class.